Here we go in three, two, one.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast. You are here with my brother Austin and myself, Blake, and we are here to talk about all things volunteer sports. But today, Austin, we're waking up feeling good, feeling great to be a Tennessee Vol because the basketball Vols got a huge, absolutely massive W against the Kentucky Wildcats last night, and we are advancing to the Elite Eight, my friend.
Yep. I was wrong and I couldn't be happier, man.
I couldn't be
Absolutely,
happier too.
absolutely dominated the Wildcats, whistle to whistle, dude. It was just a complete domination. Right off the jump, we'll just get into it. Right off the jump, dude, I felt like the team just came for blood. Straight blood, dude.
Yes.
Just going
Yep.
for every offensive rebound, trying their absolute hardest. You could tell they were just locked in the entire time from the jump. Incredible victory, man.
Absolutely massive. And yeah, you could tell they were just completely locked in. Multiple players with huge stat lines. We'll get into all that. Zakai, Chaz, Gainey, Dubar even had really great games. So we're going to get into all that. Today's episode is going to be all about the Tennessee men's basketball team and this big win against Kentucky and a preview of our game tomorrow against Houston in the Elite Eight and a chance to make our first Final Four. So, folks, buckle in. Go ahead and get your popcorn ready. We're going to be talking about this game, reviewing this Kentucky game, and then previewing the Houston game. We're not going to talk about baseball this episode. We will be talking about baseball after we finish our series against South Carolina this weekend. We did get a win last night in baseball as well. Again, we just can't stop winning. Waking up feeling good to be a Tennessee Vol, but we're going to be talking all about the basketball Vols today. So, Austin, let's just jump right into the details of this Kentucky game. It's a heated rivalry, right? In basketball, and there's a little bit of smack talking coming into the game, right? Zakai, I'll be honest, this was the first moment where I wasn't exactly on board with something Zakai did. There's a picture of him flipping off the Kentucky
Oh,
sign
I
in
loved
rough.
it, man. I loved it, dude.
Listen, I
They
love it
wanted
too,
it.
but
They wanted it
I,
all
I,
along,
I
dude. They
listen,
knew that it
I
was our
agree.
time to beat Kentucky this season. We lost two times in those games. Listen, we just weren't ourselves. I mean, Zakai said after the game at the press conference that just wasn't Tennessee basketball. He was absolutely right, dude. We just weren't guarding like we typically guard in that series this year. And they were ready for the Kentucky smoke, man. They were ready for it, and I
They
mean,
were ready.
and it played out in the game.
It did. I mean, and look, I'm glad it went this way, right? Because it could have easily been locker room material for Kentucky, and Kentucky's players, were coming back, talking about how it's cute because the Vols haven't beat them in I don't know how long. I'm like, bro, it's literally
That's
been
crazy.
two games, right? Like, yeah, give me a break. But there's a little bit of back and forth, right? But then absolutely loved it because we came out and we backed it up, and especially Zakai, he backed it up. Like you said, he was ready for it. He wanted the smoke, and they gave him all they got, and it was an absolutely massive, dominating win.
I mean, it really was, dude. I couldn't remember a time that we didn't have a double digit lead in that game. And we got the double digit lead and we just held it. We just held every time Kentucky would hit a three, we'd go down and hit a three. Gaining off the bench, huge off the bench in this game. He gave us such a spark because Chaz started off slow. He started off slow in the
Yep.
first half, but he
Hmm.
ended up coming on in the second half, and he was a huge part of the victory. But I mean, I think the story is Zakai because Zakai was phenomenal, man. Just dishing it, 10 assists, 18 points, finding a way to score no matter what, and playing great defense as always, man. It was a phenomenal performance. I mean, dude, it was like our best all around performance of the year. I mean, I think that's the case. And going at the end of the last or at the end of the regular season, we were talking how this team just hasn't really been able to dominate. They haven't really been able to play start to finish and play a full complete game. Dude, in this tournament, man, I mean, I don't think you could ask for a better three performances, right? Like we have played whistle to whistle every game this tournament and have looked like a dominant team. And we're also talking like at the end of the regular season, like, man, this team has the potential if they can find a way to play start to finish and dominate and and play like themselves for a full first and second half, then this team can beat anybody. And dude, you have absolutely seen that through the tournament. And maybe, just maybe, we've hit that streak that we were talking about. Like, hey, if you can put together a 5-6 game streak, all of a sudden you can be the best team in Tennessee basketball history. They're in the middle of doing that as we speak, dude, through the first 3 games of the tournament, headed to the Elite Eight.
I think you're absolutely right that this was the best game that we've played all season, and it's coming at the perfect time, exactly like you're talking about, right? We're hitting that stride. Now, we need that stride to continue. We need Chaz to continue giving his all. But Chaz, once again, like you were talking about in the last episode, he is suddenly being able to create different looks, different shots, right? He's driving to the basket a little bit more. He, had a couple good drives, a couple good mid-range jumpers that he hit last night against Kentucky that you love to see. And so between that and obviously Zakai, doing this double-double last night with the 10 assists, 18 points like you talked about, Gainey with, I believe, 16 points off the bench. If everyone can continue to contribute like that, right, the whole team contributes, then we absolutely can play with anyone in the country. We can beat anyone in the country. Now, I get it, Duke, even Auburn, with their big men, it's tough, but when you've got a complete performance like that, it's going to be any basketball team is going to have a tough time beating that. So absolutely love to see that performance. And you're right. Yeah, I noticed, I was a little worried coming, even though we were up going into halftime. And like you said, I think we only trailed like the first few seconds of the game and then immediately got the lead and never lost it. But even, coming out of half, I was nervous, right? I was like, man, Kentucky, I was just nervous. And I saw that Chaz only had 6 points. And all of a sudden, he blows up in the second half and comes out with, I believe he finished with 17 points. And so, like you said, he came alive, and it's just everyone gave their all. And that's what you need during tournament time.
Yeah, man. And Chaz, it was really important for him to come out in the second half like that because, dude, his first couple of shots were ugly. Like, we're talking about ugly misses. He shot a mid-range shot early in the first half where, it didn't even hit a rim, dude. And that could bother a shooter like Chaz, dude. And you could have lingering effects from that and it impact you the whole game. Well, he didn't let it impact him the whole game, dude. He came out, and without his contributions in the second half, that game could have got a lot closer. So, yeah, it was huge that he had amnesia and was just able to get back out there and do what he does, shoot the ball and shoot it at a high level. He's been massive this tournament, dude. One of the best players in the tournament. Actually, going into that game, he was the highest average scoring player in the tournament. So I don't know what it looks like. He's probably not after since he only scored 17, but still, really good tournament performance from him so far. Meshack was also huge, man. Meshack playing defense, dude. 5 steals in the game. He had several plays where he read a pass, he picked it off, and created a fast break opportunity, dude. He just sees the game so well, man. He sees the game so well. Couple beautiful steals, and you were saying you were nervous going into halftime, dude. You know who else was nervous? Peyton Manning on the sidelines, dude. Courtside, he was looking nervous, bro. Every time they showed him on TV, I got my sheriff shirt on to represent Peyton being at the game. Every time they showed that dude on the broadcast, he looked nervous as hell, man. He had the BVS running through his veins, dude. He was just waiting for the collapse. I saw it in his eyes, dude. I'm like, that's a Vol fan right there. That's Vol through and through, man. He's been here before.
Yeah, I absolutely love to see Peyton on the sidelines there, man. That was absolutely awesome to see. Yeah, whether or not he's got BVS running through his veins, I'm not sure. But
he did. I saw it in his eyes, man.
You could just feel it. Does he still live in Indianapolis?
I don't know. He might have a house. He probably has houses everywhere.
He probably.
But it's the house that Peyton built, brother. Lucas Oil Stadium, the house that Peyton built. Yeah. People said there ain't no way Peyton's losing in Lucas Oil. So, yeah, it was. As a Colts fan and a huge Peyton fan, obviously, as y'all can see, Peyton in the back. Absolutely love to see him there. But yeah, dude, I could listen, dude. I have been there because as a Vol fan, like growing up as a Vol fan, it doesn't matter how big a lead we have, dude. You're just waiting. You're just waiting. Oklahoma 21-0 under old Butch Jones. You're just waiting for the collapse, man. You're just waiting
You're
for the
waiting for it.
collapse.
And that's exactly what I was meaning. When I was talking about, going into halftime, we were up. I think at halftime we were up 9 or 12 or something like that, and I was just like you said, I was just waiting for it. I was just like, man, Chaz isn't having a super hot game. I mean, any number of things can happen. But dude, that's what I loved about the performance too, right? We didn't let off the gas. We kept the foot on the gas the whole game, whistle to whistle. And if we play like that, the rest of these games, Houston, whoever we meet in the Final Four, whether it be Duke or whoever, then we can go on and win.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, dude. They just looked more motivated than ever to win the game. Like, it was kind of going into the game. One of the storylines for me was, listen, this is not just a Sweet 16 game. This is not just an opportunity to get to the Elite Eight and eventually a Final Four. It's an opportunity to beat one of your biggest rivals in basketball who's beat you twice already this year. It's a win or go home situation, and it felt like the Tennessee Vols were the team that really understood that, right? They were the motivated team. Because, I mean, offensive rebounds, I've talked about a lot, and I'm still trying to look for some statistics and analytics to kind of back up what I'm saying, but a lot of it's luck driven. You can't really predict it, in my opinion, because it's the way the ball bounces, and sometimes like I said, it's luck driven. But dude, when you're making multiple tips on the ball to tip it out to your guy to get an offensive rebound, which I saw multiple times last night, run and down offensive rebounds. There's a dog factor when it comes to getting offensive rebounds too. You just want it more than the other guy, and that's what it felt like from jump last night. It felt like they just wanted it more, and plus we had the skill as well, right? When you combine motivation and skill, dangerous combo, brother.
And you saw the results. I mean, we won the game and we won it in dominating fashion. And so I think this just caps off the fact that everyone knew this. We knew this. Zakai knew this. That's why I said is that we were a better team than Kentucky. We are a better team than Kentucky this year. We didn't play our best basketball when we played them earlier in the season. But now finally this team is showing that motivation game in and game out, and we played our best game of the season against them. So it was absolutely massive. And again, we've already talked about just the different contributions with Gainey off the bench and Chaz coming alive in the second half, Zakai obviously with the double-double, and what I loved is just seeing everyone contribute, right? Like, it was a complete team effort.
It was.
I mean, Chaz had a great game. Zakai had a great game, but then you also see multiple other players contributing. Even Akpara, had some nice plays. I mean, it was a complete team effort.
It really was, man. It was. I mean, it was probably the most complete team effort we've had, like we're saying. And I'll go back to, this team has chosen the best possible time to reach their peak. This team has reached their peak. Now the question is, how long can you ride the peak? Because now the motivation has to become, well, you want to win a championship, and the championship is the biggest prize in sports. And because before it's like, okay, you got your rival, you want revenge, blah, blah, blah. And I think if we had Purdue on the docket, I would feel a little bit better going into the Elite Eight game, because it's like, dude, you have a more motivation factor, right? You have a chance to beat Purdue, who's knocked you out of the tournament twice over like the last 5 years, and plus once last year, probably the best Tennessee team or Tennessee basketball team in the history of our program with Dalton Connect, and they knocked us out because of Zach Edey, and we won't rehash all that, but that would have given them a lot of motivation to beat Purdue. Now you're playing Houston, who's a really good team, and now the motivation again has to be, you can win a national championship. You can do something that's literally never been done here on Rocky Top and make a Final Four and do all that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited for the game, see how it plays out, but they need to find that same fire that they had in this Kentucky game, dude. They have to.
you have to find that motivation, and that's what good teams do, right? Is they are able to. Part of it is, there's a saying, the saying that discipline always trumps motivation, right? So part of it is having the discipline to play well and play your game regardless of the circumstances, right? And that's what great teams do. But great teams also find the motivation to be just want it more than the other guy, right? To
Well,
have that dogfight, or like you said, and these players, what I love about these players is they've talked about how they want to do it for Coach Barnes. They
yep.
want to do it not only for their own legacy and for each other, and like you said, doing something that's never been done before on Rocky Top, but also doing it for Coach Barnes.
Yeah, no question, dude. But that's why you hear all these teams like the Georgia Bulldogs a couple years ago when they were 2 touchdown favorites in every game they played said, "Oh, we were the underdogs all year. Everyone doubted us." You hear that crap all the time, dude. You're hearing that crap from the LA Dodgers right now. They're saying, "Oh man, everyone doubted us. How did we do it?" You have the highest paid roster in the MLB. You were literally a favorite on 162 out of 162 games last year. That's how you did it. But it's the team trying to find the motivation, right? You have to tell your team that you're doubted and that nobody believes in you. Because if you just tell them, hey, everyone's picking you to win, whatever, we're the best team, like, that's not going to fire anybody up.
No.
So, I mean, again, they do need to find that going into Houston, but, I mean, I wouldn't have trouble finding that motivation. I don't think they will either. Like you said, especially Zakai and Meshack, dude. They want it for Coach Barnes more than anything, dude. They want that Final Four for Coach Barnes' legacy and a potential national championship for Coach Barnes' legacy. Because, I mean, listen. I'm not saying we're going to win a national championship. I still don't think we can do it. I guess I'm a hater. I'm predicting that we can't beat Duke, but dude, if Rick Barnes rode out on Rocky Top with a national championship, dude, I mean there's literally no better story in sports, dude. This guy has been an elite coach in college basketball for so long, has never been able to get over that hump. And to do that at Tennessee with a team that nobody predicted, and that's true about this team. It's not like the Georgia Bulldogs teams or the LA Dodgers last year. Truly, no one thought Tennessee was going to be able to do it this year because you lose your superstar in Dalton Connect. You have all these question marks. Who's going to make up the offensive production? Well, we have this Chaz Lanier guy, and he had his up and downs throughout the season. But, dude, I mean, if this team can be the team to get it done, like I said, I don't think there's a better story in sports, especially with the Rick Barnes factor.
1,000% with the Rick Barnes factor. And then, of course, I think if we were to win the national championship, I think there's no doubt that he'll probably retire after. Maybe even if
I don't
we
see
make
how he couldn't, dude. I mean, to ride out on a national championship, dude,
Go out on top. I mean, why not, right? Now, I will say this, too. I want a little bit of piece of the action in terms of the predictions and the Nostradamus.
Oh, no doubt, dude. No doubt.
And so if we do go on to win the national championship, I talked about how the parallel between the 98 football championship, right? And you have this great player in Peyton Manning. You assume that's the year that it is going to be your year to win. And then you go on and win the next year with a guy who's an unknown and in T. Martin. And all of a sudden you have this same parallel with Dalton Connect. He leaves, and then boom, we've got an unknown in Chaz Lanier. I talked about that earlier on in the season.
You absolutely did.
It'd be sick. Even if we make a Final Four, I'm going to be very happy.
You also predicted us to make the Final Four. You did predict that. Yeah. And we talked about last episode how, hey, this Kentucky game could be like the peak of our competition because they've had our number this year, at least to the Final Four. I think that's what we said because, I mean, obviously Duke's the best team in the country. That's going to be a whole nother animal. But I do think, hey, I mean, Houston just had a super emotional win last night against Purdue. They hit basically almost a buzzer-beating shot with like 0.8 seconds left to take the lead. Beautiful, beautiful play, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to look at it. But, dude, I mean, I think that plays into our favor, man. A lot of times an emotional win like that, there's a fall-off after that. And I think, obviously, Houston's been a better team than Kentucky. That's why they're not the number one seed. But I think for us, I think Kentucky could have been a worse matchup. Houston doesn't really have a big man. I was doing some scouting now. Houston doesn't really have a big man that can eat. And that's our kryptonite. That is our kryptonite. It's been our kryptonite all year. So, I don't know. That could spell trouble for them, brother.
Well, let's this is a perfect segue, right? So we are going to talk. We're going to preview the Houston game, and so let's dive right into that because I think you're absolutely right that the lack of a big man that can eat down there in the paint and just tear us up like other teams have this season, that does play into our advantage. And we've already talked about that on this podcast. We've talked about how, hey, Houston is actually a fairly favorable matchup for us, at least in terms of the one seeds. Now, here's the deal: analysts have got, a lot of the analysts have got Houston right behind Duke in terms of the best team in the country. Right? They say, okay, if it's not Duke, then it's Houston. I don't know if I agree with all of that,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people talking about that, and a lot of power rankings have got Houston as the number 2 power ranked team right now in the tournament behind Duke.
I would like to see the backgrounds of some of those people because I think, well, and full transparency, I'm a Vol fan first. Okay, all Vol, all the time, no question about it. And I was rooting against Alabama and Florida and Kentucky. Now the other SEC teams, I wouldn't have minded to see them win. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have minded it. But Florida and Alabama, I root against Al Qaeda against those guys. But point being is I think there's a lot of analysts in college basketball right now, a lot of ACC guys and a lot of Big Ten guys that are a little upset that the best conference in every other sport has now taken the last sport that these folks had, and has absolutely dominated it, dude. Without Arkansas and Ole Miss absolutely choking in their Sweet 16 games, dude, we'd have 6 out of 8 teams in the Elite Eight. Stupid, man. It's literally dominance that's no one's ever seen by a conference. And you have these Big Ten fans celebrating after the first round saying, oh man, the Big Ten's 8-0 in the first round, the SEC's only 8-6. Well, dude, at the end of the day, we have 4 teams in the Elite Eight and they have 1. And that really shouldn't be there because of Ole Miss. So I think that's kind of where some of those analysts are coming from. I'd have to see the background of some of those guys because I don't know how you could see how Auburn's playing right now, or how Florida's playing right now, or how Alabama's playing right now, or how Tennessee's playing right now, and say that Houston is the second best team in this tournament. Houston has absolutely not been the second best team in this tournament. And I'm not saying, hey, we're going to for sure go dominate Houston. That's not my prediction because they are a good team. But, I mean, if you look at the spreads right now, that's the closest spread. The Tennessee-Houston spread is the closest spread out of the 4 games on the docket. So, I just don't see that. I don't see Houston being the second best team in college basketball right now.
I 100% agree, especially with, well, we talked about a couple episodes ago about Florida, with the way Florida's playing right now, especially after the SEC tournament. They might even be better than Duke, right? We were talking about how they might be the best team in the country.
I don't disagree.
And so I 1,000% agree with you that I don't think that those analysts are hitting the nail on the head when it comes to Houston. But the point is Houston is a good team.
Oh, yeah.
So, like you said, we're not saying that we're going to go out there and dominate Houston. We could. We're not saying we're going to go out there and dominate Houston. However, the point is that despite the fact that Houston is a good team, and despite the fact that Houston is highly rated, and question marks about hey, Houston might be one of the best teams in the country, whatever, we still, because of the makeup of our team, because of the way we've played this season, all the evidence seems to point towards this being a favorable matchup for us in terms of, put it this way, I'd rather be playing Houston right now than
no
Duke
question.
or Florida or even Auburn, right?
I totally agree with that, dude. I totally agree. That was exactly what I was about to say. If I had to pick a matchup right now, I'm definitely taking Houston over those other teams, how they're playing. I mean, they all pretty much dominated their games in the Sweet 16. So, yeah, I totally agree with that assessment. Before we get off here, and we're not getting off here anytime soon, I'm just saying I have to say this because I meant to say this during the Kentucky Review part of the podcast. Zakai Ziegler broke yet another record, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Another record. First of all, we didn't talk about this after the Wofford game, but he became the all-time Tennessee assist leader. Last night, he broke the record for all-time single-season assist by an SEC player in SEC history. This dude is insane, dude. I mean, he's literally one of the best players in Tennessee history. He now holds the record for assists at Tennessee and steals at Tennessee. He also is 6 assists away from becoming second all-time in SEC history for assist. Do you know who's ahead of him for number 1?
Ooh, I do not.
Yeah, Sean Toohey, who is the Blindside dad. That's Michael Orr's the
No
adoptive
kidding.
dad. Yes, who now Michael Orr is suing because they've had apparently a fallout over the Blindside stuff. Just a side note. That yeah, Ole Miss dude. He owns, and I might have pronounced his last name wrong. Don't really care. He owns the record for all time assist by an SEC player.
Wow, that's insane.
It is
Nice little kind of small world situation there, since the Tuies convinced Michael Orr to not go to, to Tennessee and go to Ole Miss
correct.
instead. So yeah, we're not bitter about that. But um, man, yeah, Zakai is just, you can't say enough good things about him. He's just the embodiment of Evolve for Life. He's the embodiment of everything Rick Barnes embodies as a coach, right? And so, yeah, just what a player, man. And that's all. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered that, because I do remember seeing the video of them celebrating in the locker room last night after the game, celebrating Zakai breaking yet another record. And here's the deal, man. That's great teams also have great camaraderie, right? And those guys love Zakai.
Oh
You know,
yes,
Zakai
no
is a
doubt.
great leader, and you know they trust him, they love him, and so you got to have that when it comes to a team being able to go the distance. And so we're incredibly grateful and blessed to have Zakai on this team.
You can definitely tell that this team cares about individual accomplishments for each other. Like a lot of time, a dude has an individual accomplishment and it's just his accomplishment, but they kind of all take a pride in it, which is really cool to see. You obviously want that out of a team, and that's under Rick Barnes' leadership and Zakai's leadership as well. Also, first back-to-back Elite Eight in Tennessee history, brother. First
Yes.
time
Yep.
ever. Back-to-back Elite Eights. Let's get that Final Four, man. Let's get that monkey off our back, dude.
It's. I mean, what better year? I mean, it's just with this run that they're making right now, the way they're playing, back to back Elite Eights, like you said, and something that we haven't talked about. Honestly, an Elite Eight appearance is in and of itself an incredible accomplishment. We've only had 3 total Elite Eight appearances in program
Correct.
history. So these two back to back Elite Eight appearances are 2 out of 3 of our total Elite Eight appearances. And so, you know, obviously this program that Rick Barnes has built is incredible, but we're hungry, we're greedy. We've talked about we've been a greedy fan base. We're still a greedy fan base. We want more, man. You know, even though we've never historically been a basketball school, we are officially the everything school. So it's time to dominate basketball too. Why not?
I think, you make a great point about only having 3 Elite Eights in Tennessee history. Rick Barnes has solidified himself, if it wasn't already solidified, as the greatest coach in Tennessee basketball history, man. Which is, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's awesome to see, and I don't know if this is gonna be his last year or not, but no better way to go out on top than a national championship, brother. That would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
It would be absolutely fantastic. Let's hope these boys can bring it home for Coach Barnes. They've already talked about how they're doing it for him. Mayshak talked about how they're doing it for Coach Barnes, and I mean obviously it would cement their own legacy as well as players, like you said, being the first team to bring a Final Four appearance and then potentially a national championship appearance or a national championship to Tennessee basketball would be huge for the players' legacy. As if players like Zakai don't already have a great
Oh
enough
yeah,
legacy,
his legacy is
but
solidified.
his legacy is solidified, but still, being able to this team being able to say that of themselves, but then the fact that they're playing for Rick Barnes as well to solidify his legacy as definitely the greatest coach in Tennessee basketball history, and obviously he is cementing himself as one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. And
No
so
question.
you'd absolutely love to see it. This Houston game is coming up tomorrow, so this episode is going to be we're recording this on Saturday morning. We're going to get this episode pumped out Saturday morning because I think everyone on Rocky Top is feeling high after this great Kentucky win, and we want to celebrate that with you guys. So this episode should be dropping imminently this Saturday morning. Our game against Houston is tomorrow at you said 2:20 p.m. Austin.
No, it's 2:20 p.m. Sunday.
2:20 p.m. on Sunday tomorrow. So right in the middle of the day, the action don't stop. We have a quick turnaround for this Houston game. And so we're going to be ready. I think Austin and I are going to want to try to go live after the Houston game if we can win. So we want to celebrate that with you guys. Celebrate the first Final Four appearance in Tennessee basketball history. That would be an absolutely huge moment. So be sure to tune into the game, and then also come over to the Vol Talk podcast afterwards. If we win, we're going to go live and enjoy it with you guys. Austin, do you have any other thoughts on the Houston game and the preview of that game and the opportunity to make that first Final Four appearance?
If you like subpar analysis, come to the Vol Talk podcast after we beat Houston to advance to our first Final Four. Don't even bother watching us cut down the nets. Just come right over to Vol Talk. Now, we'll probably go live after we cut the nets and all that. If we win, we will not be going live if we lose. I don't really want to go live if we lose, frankly. We'll pump that out on Monday.
Yeah, we'll put that off, similar to how we did after we lost Ohio State in the playoffs. We took a little bit of
hiatus,
a little bit of a hiatus, a grieving period, if you will. So we'll have to probably do that with the Houston game as well if we lose the Houston game. But we do want to celebrate with you guys.
We want to drop some predictions.
Yes, but before we do that, I just want to say, look, you said subpar analysis on the Vol Talk podcast. Listen, people don't come to the Vol Talk podcast for the analysis. They come for the volunteer love and the Alabama hate. Okay, we've already established that. So come on over, like Austin said, watch the net cutting, and then come on over to the Vol Talk podcast and celebrate with us. But yes, let's drop some predictions. Austin, what is your prediction for the game tomorrow?
I think it's a good matchup, man. I think their strength is their guards, and we got a couple of guards that can really, really defend in Zakai and Meshack, so I think it's a good matchup for us, dude. We don't have to worry about Okpara kind of, getting bullied in the paint sometimes. Love Okpara, great player. He's not the best against elite big men. We don't really have to worry about that in this Houston matchup. And yeah, I think we're gonna beat them, dude. I think we're gonna beat them. I guess I can throw out a score prediction. Let's say 73-70. Final score prediction.
Ooh, close one. Close one. So, look, Austin, he finally got a prediction wrong with this Kentucky win. So thank God for that.
Couldn't be happier.
Let's hope he gets back to his percentage is still insane. So let's hope that you are nailing this Houston prediction. I'm gonna be honest with you though, bro. Obviously we're biased. We're Vols fans. That's what people are here for. This is the Vol Talk podcast. But I agree with you. I do think it is a good matchup for us. I think Houston is probably not going to have played a defense like ours all season, and I think it's going to shock them a little bit. So I do think it's going to be a slightly lower scoring game, but I do think we win. And I think you are right. It'll probably be fairly close because it's an Elite Eight matchup. Both teams are going to be playing their hearts out, but I think we win. My final score prediction, 68-64.
I like it, man. All Vols, baby. We're going to make it to our first Final Four.
It's going to be such an awesome moment. Folks, like I said, listen, we appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching this episode. Tomorrow, after the game's going to air at 2:20 p.m. Check out the game, watch the game. Obviously, throw back a few brewskis after we win, all that good stuff. But we're going to be going live within minutes of the victory that we're going to have tomorrow against Houston. And so please, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell. You'll get a notification as soon as we go live. And come join us, hang out, hop in the chat. We'd love to celebrate with you guys, kind of get your thoughts and your feedback. If you have any analysis of your own, go ahead and throw it in the chat tomorrow. We would love to enjoy that moment with you guys as we celebrate the first Final Four appearance in Tennessee history, if we can beat Houston tomorrow. So, folks, we will catch you on the other side of that Houston game. Until then, go Vols.
GBO.